Hello everybody, welcome to Sunday School. It's Miss Mary Ann. Hope you guys are doing really well and enjoying spring and finding lots of great things to do. I wonder what comes to your mind when you think of peace, of the word peace. What do you think people mean when they say they want some peace and quiet? I wonder if you have ever been quiet but not at peace. And I wonder if you've ever been at peace, but not quiet. We are continuing our journey listening to Jesus' most famous sermon, the part of the Sermon on the Mount called the Beatitudes. And today Jesus is going to talk to us about being peacemakers. Making peace as Jesus thought about it may be a bit different than how you have thought about it before. Peace can sound easy, but it can actually be really hard. In your email today, there is a coloring sheet, as always, that goes with this lesson. There's a family page, but there's also an activity page that kind of help you think more about this lesson. We're going to talk about some of that at the end of this video as well to kind of get you set up for that. Before we get going on our lesson, I do want to remind you that if you are a fourth grader or you know somebody who is, we are going to have our fourth grade communion in person on May 16th. You must register for that by May 9th, so next week. So we are looking forward to getting to do that important ritual for our fourth graders. And if you are a fifth grader who did not get communion with us before, you can also participate in that as well. All right, let us get our candle and do our opening. Let's just take a second to take a couple deep breaths to get ourselves ready for our prayer and our story. You can look at the candle or close your eyes, whatever works for you. God of peace, we want to be peacemakers and justice workers in your name. We want to follow your lead in creating a world where each one of us experiences true wholeness. Please show us what our next step is today in creating the peace our world needs. Amen. So today we're going to join that huge crowd that is following Jesus up the mountain to hear him speak. Jesus cares for the people in many ways, and he leads them to this mountain. Let's climb that mountain. Remember, there are many ways that you can climb. You can hike, you can roll in a hiking wheelchair, you can use ropes, you can rock climb. You might even come up with another fun way. I'm gonna hike. I wonder what way you are gonna choose, and let's climb up that mountain. Are you ready? Let's go. All right, we made it up that mountain. Let us take a look around and see everybody up here. See all the beautiful sights off into the distance. And now let's take a seat and get ourselves ready to listen to Jesus. This is what Jesus said. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Peace is so important that there are many symbols for peace around the world. People recognize doves, olive branches, peace signs, peace hand signs, all as images that bring us together. In fact, if you look up peace in your emojis, you'll find a few of those symbols on your device. We say peace to describe being calm and still and not disruptive. The kind of peace Jesus talked about was more than calm, quiet, or a lack of conflict. For Jesus, true peace was what he and his followers called shalom. Can you say that with me? Shalom. Shalom means wholeness and wellness. Shalom means that all of your needs, physical, emotional, spiritual, all of your needs are met and lovingly cared for. Have you ever felt that kind of peace? There were many people listening to Jesus who did not experience this kind of shalom. And there are many people today who do not either. In Jesus' time, Rome had conquered many different people's lands and forced Roman laws and customs onto them. They called it Pax Romana, meaning peace within Rome. But this did not feel like peace to the people whose land and lives that the Romans had taken over. Romans thought it was peace because they had squelched anyone who had a different view or a belief than they did. It may have felt like quiet in Rome, but it wasn't peaceful. There wasn't conflict, but it was a fake kind of peace. There is a long history across the world of governments taking over people and land, saying that they will bring peace, but instead imposing laws that hurt and oppress. To truly create peace or shalom for everyone, we must use our voices and what power we have to bring justice, not just say we want peace. I wonder if you have ever heard the phrase, no justice, no peace. Do you know where you heard that before, if you have? People have been chanting no justice, no peace during protests since the 1970s. It means that there won't be wholeness or peace until there is justice among all of us. When some of us are treated unfairly, that injustice creates trouble and pain. On the other hand, if there is justice, the community is safe and peaceful because everyone's needs are lovingly cared for and met. God desires peace and wholeness among all people, young and old, disabled and non-disabled, among all genders, among all nations, and among all expressions of faith. Remember, God's peace is not a fake peace. It is a deep wholeness that is sometimes disruptive. And this is why Jesus blessed the peacemakers. Let us think about this peacemaking a little bit more, this idea of shalom. Sometimes making peace means noticing patterns of how things work in the world. Pattern is something that repeats over and over and over again. And sometimes these patterns, where people live, what schools their children go to, and things like that, can work for some, but not everyone. Being a peacemaker might mean being a disruptor by interrupting a pattern and creating a new pattern that brings wholeness to each person. At school, you might have noticed the pattern of certain classmates being left out, or maybe some kids having more chances to do things than others. You can work toward a new and fairer pattern by making changes in your behavior and encouraging others to join you. It can be really hard, though. But what happens when you notice patterns that you don't have the power to change? Maybe you've noticed that your teacher seems to treat some children more harshly than others. For example, you might see a teacher sending a classmate out of the room every time they talk out of turn and speaking harshly when they forget something like a pencil, even when many other children are doing the same thing. The person who is responsible for creating peace here is the teacher, those in power at the school. The people in power have the responsibility to behave justly to everyone. What kind of small peace can you make around you when you are not in charge? It's a hard question. Can you tell a grown-up the problem? Can you give a little encouragement to that classmate, letting them know that you see this frustrating situation? And sometimes when grown-ups try and make peace, they also get stuck. They cannot think beyond their arguments or their barriers. But children are sometimes more imaginative, more creative when it comes to making peace. Use your imagination and think of creative solutions to some problems. You can disrupt the patterns with your magical mind. So let's think about some sticky problems that cause pain, and let's see if you can come up with some ideas. Think about this pattern. Some people, even kids, will get books from libraries, some that they need for their schoolwork. But libraries can place fees on these items when they get returned too late. And people without enough money can't pay the fees for the books that they need. So that's a pattern. People get books from the library for school. Libraries place fees. People can't get books from the library because of the fees. So what would be a solution to disrupting this pattern so that kids that need them could get books? Is there a way that adult people could change this pattern? I mean, you could create a fund maybe to help people that need books to pay off their loans. If you had money, you could give the library money to pay off fees for people that need it. Here in the Columbus Metropolitan Library, they quit having fees for overdue books entirely, so that it's not a problem anymore. That was a really creative and brave decision that they did, but one that created justice for everyone that needs it in the community. Let's try another one. Children get lunches at school. Some children's families can't pay those meals, and sometimes those children then can't get lunch at school. How could you disrupt this pattern? How could adult people disrupt this pattern? What do you think? I wonder. All right, we're going to try a big one, a hard one. People buy clothes. They buy more clothes than they need, and they throw away clothes that are still whole. How could you disrupt this pattern? How could adult people disrupt this pattern and change this? I wonder. We're going to do one more. It's even harder. I'm going to have to think wide. Young people send messages to others on their phones. These messages are rude and mean. Some people who get these messages feel hurt and alone. How could you disrupt this pattern? How could adult people disrupt this pattern? I wonder. These are some really big problems that are hard to solve. It might take a while to think of it, to think about it before you can come up with a creative idea. But I bet you can. In your email, there's an activity to do this, to kind of draw it out, just to kind of think about it. It's okay if it feels tough, but it's also kind of fun to think about, especially if it's just kind of like a wild idea. All right. I wonder what peace means to you. I wonder what peace feels like. I wonder what peace looks like. I wonder what it looks like to be a peacemaker here and now. I wonder what you think about this idea that there can't be peace until there is justice for everyone. I wonder if you can think of some peacemakers from history. I wonder if you can think of some peacemakers working today. Who are some people trying to disrupt big patterns of problems? I wonder if any of them are kids. I wonder how you can be a peacemaker in your community. I wonder which part of the story you liked best. And I wonder what you are going to do this week. I hope you find something really fun to do. Before we close, I want to give you a blessing so you can hold your hands out like this, because a blessing is something you receive, and I will speak it, and then you can bring it into yourself. May God bless you with peace to be a peacemaker. And I'll get our candle back. It's still lit, but not by much. And let us do our closing prayer. Loving God, thank you for the times that bring us close to you and to one another. Help us to remember that you are always with us. Amen. And I will change this light so that the light of Christ can be with you wherever you go and wherever you are. This light will find you, and it will be there when you need it. Blessings, everybody. Have a great week.